Hello and welcome everybody to the Autism Awareness 120 here from the Richmond Raceway. I am your commentator, Corey Steinhauser. Welcome to the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for what should be an absolutely epic show of skill and death and Matt Burgess spinning through the grass. And this camera angle is absolutely terrible. Appalling. Oh, who makes these cameras? Jacked. As we see, who that is, doing big donuts in the pits there. That's Blake Traywick. It was Traywick. Everyone's starting to line up at the end of pit lane. We're getting ready for a pit party here to kick things off for the broadcast. What better way is it to kick off a nice little broadcast like this than with a pit party? Lots of people doing burnouts that I can hear, or at least revving their engines. Like we're starting to roll the cars off pit lane now. Matt Burgess as well. Ashton Slice in the pit party here. Who's going to be on pole? I think that is they're on pole possibly. It's the 88 on pole. Jonathan Hernandez. I can't tell if they're going green this lap. Like that is a no. They're still warming their tires. They'll get the green next time by. Everyone getting filled up here. Jonathan Hernandez on the pole. Got Joan Sanchez on his outside. Jared Pashley making his return in the 9 car in third there. Zach Floyd on his outside in the 28. Be an interesting race to watch here, even if it is just a pit party. And we're off and away. Hernandez with a huge jump off the start. But we're just going to focus this on the crashes because we know that they will be plentiful. And already I saw, I think it was Frank getting loose on the apron. He has disappeared from all context of time and space. These guys at the front actually racing really nicely. The 50 of Christian Budd making his way through the field. Christian Budd currently up time setter a 21.547. Oh, that Burgess getting a little bit loose. Everyone getting a little bit loose coming off the corner. Oh, and the 2 of Chris Champeau has been spun. Not sure who did that to him. '90 of Michael Sturgill, sorry. Going for a quick little sideways retreat. Oh, and the 1 as well of Brandon Bennett. Oh, Thomas Harmon's gone around, so has Traywick. We will be seeing a lot of this happening here in this race. We are running the 700 horsepower engines with the low downforce package. These cars are sketchy at best. It's going to be an interesting watch as we see Christian Budd trying to work over the tail of Jerry Glenn. fault of Matt Burgess. He's trying to work over Jerry Glenn as well now. Oh, as a 21, Brian Chambliss goes around Corey Williamson with nowhere to go. Oh, Thomas Harmon involved as well. Oh, we've just descended into anarchy a little bit here. These camera angles are atrocious. If we can't up a little bit. Oh, and we've got a big stack up here on the front. As I'm still playing around with cameras. Oh, it keeps changing. I'm trying to play with it on the fly so we can get some good camera angles going here. We can deal with that. There's a fly cam coming out of turn 2. Another fly cam in 3. Thomas Harmon will stop at the exit of turn 2 there for some reason. So one thing with the small tracks like this is that you never know what's going to happen and where it's going to happen from. Rather than be getting absolutely crazy and being all over the place. There's Michael Sturgill on screen, currently the 6th place driver in the practice standings. Behind him, Matt Horton and Mark Pentecoff, 16th and 25th respectively. Just in front of him, Brian Chambliss, currently P7 in the 21 car. No one seems to be able to match Christian Budd so far with his 21.547. Eric Myers came close, 0.038 of a second behind him, and Jonathan Hernandez, 0.054 of a second off Christian as well. The top 3 is very tight, and we go to a 10th of a second later for Zach Floyd. Now it's going to go Zach Floyd, Keith Calhoun, and Frank Isaacson. Frank gets a little bit sideways there going into turn 1. Looks like, I think that was Ward up in the fence in turn 2. A little bit too deep into the corner. Behind Frank is Clayton Ward. So it wasn't Ward who was in the wall. There's Clayton Ward on screen now. We see the 28 of Zach Floyd coming back out of the pits. Oh! Clayton getting a little bit loose there coming off turn 2. Kept it out sideways, gutted the back up, still remains to be in front of Blake Treywick. These guys are seeing the limits of the cars in the current conditions. Fortunately, I'm unable to let you know what the track temp is, but I can tell you it's pretty high. You see the 13 of Travis Massey, currently the 21st place car, making a little trip through the grass. Back on Frank Isaacson is the 19 of Matt Horton. Trying to get underneath Frank, trying to get underneath Mark Pentecoff, sorry. It's done very easily there in turn 1. Frank similarly trying to get a move on Keith Calhoun, who was running very wide there off of turn 2. Frank gets that move done. Here comes Matt Horton. Oh, Matt Horton gets loose. He goes for a trip through the grass. And he goes back behind all of these guys. Oh, and Mark Pentecost getting into the wall there coming out turn 2 as well. Definitely going to be a fast-paced kind of race here with a lot of these guys getting it very sideways and making a lot of mistakes. There's the 14 car sliding it into turn 1 like he's driving a late model on the dirt. It looked like Clayton Ward pulled out of that as he got the wall coming into 3. Decided discretion was the better part of valor on his part. There's our current number 1 time sitter of Christian Budd. Go back to Zach Floyd. 28 car sitting behind Frank Isaacson still. 4th and 20th respectively. Oh, and he goes around coming out of turn 4. Does a 367.20. Couldn't quite get the rest of the rotation there. Go 540 actually. Couldn't quite get the 740. Now we see the 2 car of Chris Champeau with his Tiger print paint. And there's Keith Calhoun in the 14. Going for a spin as well, coming off a turn 4. We're probably going to see a little bit of this today. Car is very unsettled coming out of turn 4 and braking for turn 1. As we see Brandon Bennett, the 1 car putting on his best drift show impression. Currently P7. Osman Ionishu was right behind him as well on 8th. iRacing just keeps wanting to look anywhere and everywhere. Well, let's take a ride on board the 5 of Mark Pentecost here actually. Go to the gyro cam, do a lap around here. Gets it a little bit loose there coming out of turn 4. Down into turn 1. Little bit tight as he pushed up in the track. As I said, it's a very short track, unlike Bristol. Got to slow down so much more in the corners here. Ended out a little bit sideways there again coming out turn 4, but managing to hold on to it. Just in front of him, Jerry Glenn, I think that was. No, it wasn't. Not sure who it was then. Getting up to the wall. Changed very quickly. Oh, and Jerry Glenn. Oh, Jerry. Have to see what happened to Jerry there. Going out of turn 4. He just gets loose coming through the bank section there in the front straight. Nothing anyone else could do in that situation. We now look at league owner and operator Jaron Sanchez. He's getting overtaken by Brandon Bennett. Brandon Bennett currently in the 18th position. And we also have the 9 car on track. He's in the pits, Justin Botello. See Justin coming out to have a run. Brandon Bennett currently trying to lock down on the back of Matt Horton, but it looks like he's just pulled out of it actually. Like he was trying to get to the Richmond decal in the middle of the front straight there. Got some more drivers coming out. Frank Isaacson pulling the pin and going back to the pits. Michael Sturgill on screen. Coming up behind the 9 of Ashley. Getting very loose there, Keith Calhoun. Ashley getting into the wall coming off of turn 2 as well. Only have just under 11 minutes left in this practice session, so these guys are going to be getting everything they can out of it right now. Trying to keep every little bit of performance they can as they're getting ready to go qualify here in just a minute. Oh, and big drifting through turns 1 and 2. I think that is Jonathan Hernandez. Quickly pulls the pin while he was stranded there on the outside. Oh, now we see Justin Botello in the 2069 in the standings, getting very sideways. Little Chris Champeau just managing to miss him. There's the 44 of Clayton Ward. Now the 88 of Hernandez trying to work over the 21 of Chambliss. Hernandez still currently P2, Chambliss P11. The 19 of Matt Horton gets a little bit loose coming off of turn 4, goes for a big slide. Seems like these guys are really struggling with the conditions right now. Unable to get a proper read on how the car's reacting to the track because of how loose they're getting on exit and how tight they are on entry. Hernandez now trying to get underneath Matt Horton. Matt goes very wide to allow him through. Now we go back to looking at Clayton Ward. It's behind Frank Isaacson and the 50 of Christian Budd. I think Christian's actually gone faster at some point. The 88 of Jonathan Hernandez going around turn 4. It's Frank Isaacson again. The Autism Speaks car. Very important car to have on the grid, being this the Autism Awareness 120 here from Richmond Raceway. And the spec mapping that he'll... Alright, I'm going to stop talking about Frank because he just crashed. Commentator's curse got him. Now, about 7.5 minutes away from the start of qualifying now. These guys will be wanting to start to think about maybe doing qualifying simulation runs. Unless they know they're going to be a little bit slow, they're still going to be working on just trying to keep the car under them. Easier said than done around here at Richmond. Very easy to lose concentration and just go a little bit too deep into your braking zone. It'll be a matter of just a couple of feet wrong. In fact, even just a couple of inches, and it could spell disaster for someone. And that's the difference between, you know, having a great battle going into the corner and punting the guy in front of you. Also see some drivers trying to work in that second lane a little bit. Not much rubber down in that second lane. Some people trying to get it going. It looks like most people still preferring to run on that lower line. As we see the one of Brandon Bennett coming up behind the two of Chris Champeau. Matt Horton just behind him. Matt Horton actually getting loose coming off the turn 2 there. Brandon Bennett seems like he's got this kind of sorted out. Treywick in the 56, driving it down to turn 1, still running that low line. Mark Pentecost running outside. Oh, got a bit of a bingle here on the back straight. Ryan Chambliss was in that. Oh, and Iona Shoot getting very loose going into turn 1, putting it into the outside wall there. Oh, and a little bit of a slide job there by Derek Myers. Goes very wrong. He tapped the front of Corey Williams and sent himself into the wall. Net code was also a bit to play in that one as well. Treywick gets it wrong on the front straight. Mark Pentecost running very high to allow Sturgill and Chris Champeau in. Behind them is Jonathan Hernandez, who was sliding coming out of turn 2. There's a 68 of Ashton Schleiss going for a spin coming off of turn 4. And the 50 car of Christian Budd having a spin coming out of turn 2. These guys are definitely struggling with the performance of their cars here. So crazy to see, as we are now 4 minutes away from the end of practice. As we see the 12 of Matt Burgess sliding down to 2, tapping the wall. Going to do more damage than you think. It looks like he's going to bring it back down into the pits and bring out his backup. One of 564 available for this race. Oh, and Jabo. Very uncharacteristic mistake there for Jabo. Tapping the wall, going for a spin. Chris Champeau and Jonathan Hernandez caught up in that. Let's see the 28 of Zach Floyd going for a spin coming up at turn 4. Almost a perfect 360. Almost. Oh, Justin Bertello must have absolutely sent it into turn 3 and just binned the car in epic fashion. There's a 38 of Thomas Harmon, just behind the 78 of Brian Pizzichelli, 13th and 17th respectively for these two drivers. There's Hernandez getting the run on the back straight, going into the inside wall there and just before turn 3. Pizzichelli now trying to work in that higher line. Hernandez working in behind him. Couldn't quite get the move made there. As I saw, I think that was Derek Myers in the background going around. It was. Oh, and he's taken out Ionishu as well. Cars we have here in the pits, mine included. We have a strength of field of a 2767. It's actually really amazing to see. And all the drivers who have paced the lap so far, besides one, are all A-class. Jared Pashley, the only C-class driver in the field at the moment. But we're going to go for a break now while these guys get ready to go to qualifying. When we come back, we will be talking about who's on the grid here for the Autism Awareness 120 live from the Richmond Raceway. Alrighty guys, we are back and we're just in time for us to start setting the grid here for the Autism Awareness 120 here from the Richmond Raceway. Kicking things off with our pole sitter. It's no surprise Christian Budd going to be off the pole, and on his outside, as I start grabbing the right cars here, will be the 94 of Daryl McKee. Starting out of P3 will be the 68 of Ashton Slice, and then the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez out of P4. Blake Traywick will be out of P5, with the 28 of Zach Floyd being out of P6. The 20 of Derek Myers will be out of 7th, with the 98 of Jerry Glenn on his outside in 8th. Leighton Ward in the 44 will be out of 9th, with Matt Burgess in the 12 out of P10. Darren Sanchez in the 4 car will be out of P11, with P12 being taken up by the 2 of Chris Champeau. 21 of Brian Chambliss will be out of 13th, with the 90 car of Michael Sturgill being out of 14th. The 24 car of Frank Isaacson will be out of 15th, with the 5 of Mark Pentecoff out of P16. Osman Ioneshu in the 48 car will be out of 17th, and the Blinky Bill himself, the 14 car of Keith Calhoun, will be out of P18. Thomas Harmon in the 38 car will be out of 19th, and Justin Botello, the 69 car in the standings, the 20 car on track, will be out of P20. Evan Rice in the 6 car will be out of 21st, with Justin German in the 99 being out of 22nd. Matt Horton in the 19 car will be out of 23rd, with the 18 of Brian Beach being out of 24th. Brian Pizzicami will be in the 78 car, starting out of the 25th position, with the 13 of Travis Massia being out of 26. 27th position will be the 1 car of Brandon Bennett, and the 9 car of Jared Pashley, who's not currently on the grid, will be out of 28th. And then we're going to have the 81 of Corey Williamson at the back of the pack all by himself, starting out of the 29th position. We've got 30 people in the server with combined strength of field of a 2789. 29 cars on the track, plus myself here in the commentary booth. Christian Budd on the pole. We got 120 laps here of the Richmond Raceway for the Autism Awareness of 120. Gonna go 2 laps around because this is a short track. We're using the 750 horsepower engines with the low downforce package. And these guys are loose and squirrely. We're expecting it to have a couple of cautions in this race. Be interesting to see if we do get a green flag run though. We know these guys have it in them to be able to do it. But with there being this many cars on track, it'll be a very interesting race to watch. We're going to open up the radio waves here right from the very get-go of this race. And get ready as we crank it up.
Go. Green flag.
Sorry, Brian, I hit the brakes and I just couldn't stop.
Alrighty, we are back, and apparently the crank it up didn't work because apparently my buttons were wrong. But we already have a caution on the track. Go and see if we can see what happened in this one. Oh, the 18 car there.
Okay, it's past the pace car, so pace car is coming out of 2 now.
Seeing what happened here, coming off of turn 4. Pretty sure it was the 18 of Brian Beach. It was. He gets very loose coming off the corner down into the 19 of Matt Horton. 78 of Brian Pizzicami with nowhere to go here. The one car, Brandon Bennett, he gets into it as well. The 13 car gets clear. 81 gets clear. Matt Horton actually gets stuck in the wall. So that is going to possibly be end of the race here for Matt Horton. Go back to live pictures now. Is the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez up into the 5th position. But we're still being led away by Christian Budd here in the 50 car. Death does happen very quickly here at Richmond.
Damn.
We're going to close off the radio waves now. Give these guys a little bit of a break before we put them back on. Did say that we were expecting it to be a little bit wild and woolly here to begin with, and we weren't wrong. Looks like we had several takers for pits right towards the back of the pack. The Chambliss, Harmon, Brian Beach, Batallo, Rice, Bennett, Massier, Williamson, and Pizzicami all taking pit stops. And I shudder to think that maybe Matt Horton is going to be OUT out of this race after just 2 laps completed. Granted, one of those completed laps was while he was getting wrecked, but he still completed the lap. It still counts. Lights remain on the pace car. Like we should be about 2 to go here before we get the green flag again. The cars just trundling through 1 and 2. Has made his way to the live stream chat here, and yeah, he has confirmed that his race is donezo. As we are on 1 to green, the cars will start forming up in their 2x2 formation. We've got Christian Budd, Ashton Schleiss, Daryl McKee, Blake Trawick, Jonathan Hernandez, Derek Myers, Zach Floyd, Clayton Ward, Jerry Glenn, and Jaron Sanchez as your top 10. Pace starts to quicken, the pace car's gone in, and we are off and racing. Christian Budd with a very early jump there, caught out a couple of the guys behind him, like the 94 of Daryl McKee. Christian Budd pulling away with this one. This should be an easy slap victory for Mr. Budd as long as he can keep his nose clean. Like it's all good at the moment. We've got a little bit of a battle developing behind here though. The 20 car of Derek Myers battling it out with Zach Floyd in the 28. And this is for the top 6 position, sorry. This is the 6th and 7th. Zach Floyd with the inside run is going to be hard to shake. But Derek Myers, to his credit, holding on very strong there on the outside line. not letting Zach Floyd get away with it here. But it looks like he might have to concede here on the front straight, which is effectively just one big corner. And he slots back into the 7th position. Just behind them, another battle has formed. 44 of Clayton Ward trying to get underneath Jerry Glenn. Michael Sturgill also looking for a move there, running the 2nd lane. Forces his way through past as well. That's Jerry Glenn back down to 10th. And now Sturgill looking to make the move on Clayton Ward. He wasn't content with 9th, he wants to get 8th. And Jerry Glenn's looking at sneaking back up under there with him. Across the front straight is where Sturgill will have the greatest advantage, and he gets the position made. Clayton Ward now stuck on the outside for the foreseeable future, possibly, as Jerry Glenn gets very loose there coming off of turn 2. That makes it a very easy top 10 there for Clayton Ward then. We go back up to check in on our leader. And looks like Christian Budd has got this very well sorted at the moment. Doesn't look like he's pushing too terribly hard yet. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Let's open up the radio waves again. And let's go and jump inside the gyro cam of the 50 car. Here is throttle application here. There's a very smooth and precise throttle application, but he is getting terribly close to that wall coming out of turn 2. Any closer and he'd be starting to scrape off the decals on the side of his car. Saying that, he's not exactly getting away from Ashton Schleiss here either. Ashton was actually faster on the previous lap. Not by much, only 7,000ths of a second, but he was still faster. This time, he was much faster than our leader, Christian Budd. Christian might be trying to save his tyres a little bit here, though. A much flatter track than what we were having at Bristol. There's greater potential to burn up your tyres here. Now working lap 19 of 120. Ashton Schleiss is just eking away little hundreds of thousandths of a second here and there every lap.
Michael.
And that little bit consistently faster for the past 4 or 5 laps here than Christian Budd.
Thank you.
Christian still no slouch though. Christian doing everything he can to just try and pull away. Either that or he is definitely saving tyres like I theorized, but these guys, look, we've had a long green flag run here now. This is actually pretty good to see. As I see the 14 car of Keith Calhoun's actually in the pits. Not sure what happened to him. Dustin German's also out of the race. Let's go see if we can go through the field here, see what's going on. You know what's going on with our 2 leaders here. Let's go check in the 3rd place, Jonathan Hernandez. He's in a little bit of no man's land. Got a gap to the leaders, but he's also got a gap back to 4th and 5th, who is the 94 of Darryl McKee and Blake Traywick. Put the camera on Blake because Blake's a little bit more stable. Derek Myers just behind them in P6 as well. We look back further beyond to Michael Sturgill, who had just overtaken this 7th position, as we heard there from Zach Floyd. This little pack here of 4 goes all the way back to Cosman Ionescu in the 48 car. Then with 11th, we have the 12 car of Matt Burgess, Chris Champeau on his tail. Behind these guys, we have the 98 of Jerry Glenn, who's just made an overtake on the 4 of Darren Sanchez. That's the 13th. Behind them is Thomas Harmon, who is closing in on them a little bit here. We've got Evan Rice in the 6 car. He has a pack of 4 behind him, including Brandon Bennett, Ryan Chambliss, and Frank Isaacson. And we have the 18 car of Brian Beach, who is a little bit of the way behind Frank. He's got Brian Pizzicami and Corey Williamson for company. Back behind them is the 20 car of Justin Botello, with the lap down car of Keith Calhoun right behind him. Oh, it looked like Justin just got into the wall a little bit there. And we have Travis Massia and Mark Pentikoff rounding out the lead lap cars here, all the way back to Christian Budd, who is very quickly catching in on the back of the pack here. So for a while the leaders are still waiting to get into the lap traffic, we're going to let iRacing decide what we look at. Going to set it to focus on crashes at the moment. Looking at our second place car, now it's on the 4 of Darren Sanchez, who is down to 15th after Thomas Harmon's gotten around him. A little bit of a battle behind him there. One of Brandon Bennett and the 21 of Brian Chambliss. Looks like Chambliss actually got Bennett around the outside there coming in through turn 4. Got Evan Rice in this little group as well. Sorted for the moment. No one wanting to push too hard just yet. Having a little look through my standings here, it looks like the 9 car of Pashley didn't even take the grid. So let's go back up to our leader now, who has started to make his way through some of the lap traffic, getting around Mark Pentikoff. Now going to start on his march towards Travis Massia. Cool, calm and collected. He's not using up his tyres too much here. He's just being nice and steady with all of his throttle applications and everything. Don't see the cars acting erratically as he's coming off the corners, as you saw Brian Beach going into the pits. Don't see him stepping it out at all. But he's still pushing that car to its absolute limit.
Go, bro. Thanks, bro.
We're now going to close the channel again. Saw Ashton Slice there. 68 car have a little bit of a struggle coming off turn 2, trying to get around Mark Pentikoff. I think Mark lifted for him though. Now working lap 37 of 120. If I remember correctly, fuel and tyres can go for about 60 laps around here, which is half the race. Takes a bit of the strategy out of it. You see Jonathan Hernandez now trying to make his way around Mark Pentikoff. Mark going very wide, allowing very safe passage there for Jonathan Hernandez. As we jump back up with Christian Budd, who's still leading this race. closing in on the next lot of lap traffic. Alright, now we see the 50 of Christian Budd working his way through more of the lap traffic. Gets around the 13 of Travis Massier. Gonna start heading on his way towards the 81 of Corey Williamson. It looks like our second and third place drivers are starting to close in on each other here. Go back and check out Jonathan Hernandez, who is right on the tail of Ashton Schleiss now. Ashton having a little bit of slide there coming out of turn 4. Taking a wider arc into turn 1 and 2 than what Jonathan Hernandez is getting. Hernandez looks like he's trying to drive that car very sensibly. But he did slide up a little bit there in turn 3. For the moment, these guys look like they're just fairly sorted here, not really battling each other as of yet. But we'll have to check back in on them when they are battling. As Christian Budd has gotten around Corey Williams, and now he's trying to catch up to the 78 of Brian Pizzicami. He's going for a move here into turn 1. Brian gives him all the room that he can give and makes that a very easy move there for Christian Budd. Feels it's very close to that wall. Oh my gosh. Check back in with our second and third place drivers. And Hernandez now is very much closer to the 68 of Ashton Schleiss. So we're going to keep eyes on this battle. They're working their way through turns 3 and 4 right now. Ashton Schleiss still holding on to the advantage. Oh, Hernandez getting very sideways coming out turn 4. Gonna lose him a lot of time and ground. Starting to overdrive the car a little bit. He sniffed a potential position and started to thunderfoot it. These cars acting a little more erratically than what it was when we first had a look at him. Just needs to try and calm it down a little bit again. Get back to driving it how he was driving it. He's massively overdriving right now. Almost sliding into the second lane there. As we saw the 81 of Corey Williamson getting a little bit sideways there. And managed to save it though. No caution. Stays out on track. Now Jonathan Hernandez closes back into the back of Ashton Schleiss. Both going very deep into the corner entry now. Who's going to get the better exit? It's going to be Hernandez this time, looking to the inside. And he hasn't quite got Ashton cleared yet. There's almost contact as they were coming off of turn 2. Ashton looked very unsettled in the car. But at the moment, that is going to be Hernandez up into P2 now. He needs to start cooling down his tyres, driving very smartly again. And he'll be able to start to pull away from Schleiss there a little bit. Go back to check in on our leader. And he has put Pizzakemi a lap down. He's actually almost onto the back of the 20 car on track and the 69 in the standings of Justin Botello. Not very often we see Justin going a lap down here. Let's see what Christian can do as he's closing in. And Justin very wisely takes the higher line to allow Christian the easy passage. Now Christian has a little bit of a gap before he reaches the next car, which is the 14 of Keith Calhoun. Justin sliding a little bit coming off the corner. Going to go back to our second place driver here of Jonathan Hernandez, who is starting to pull away from Ashton Weiss now, as he starts to catch up to the 13 of Travis Massier. There's about a 3.5 second gap between Hernandez and the Christian Budd right now. As the 13 of Massier gets out of the way for Hernandez. While we have a bit of a lull in action here right now, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will be continuing on the Autism Awareness 120 here from the Richmond Raceway. Stay tuned. Alrighty, we are back now with the Autism Awareness 120 here from the Richmond Raceway. Christian Budd still your leader, and to the tune of about 4.5 seconds over Jonathan Hernandez. I know it says it's a lot more in the standings there, but it's about 4.5 seconds. Trying to put another lap on Mark Pentecoff, who has been struggling ever since he went a lap down. For Cosman Ionescu coming out of the pits there as well. He pitted for some fresh tyres, as we are now 62 laps into this race. We should be seeing a lot of people starting to come in for their green flag stops. Our fuel run is about 60 laps here, as Blake Treywick and Zach Floyd have both come into the pits right now. And here comes Ionescu with his fresher tyres, and he is going to effect an overtake here on Christian Budd. If I was Christian, I'd probably want to pit here fairly shortly. But you don't want these guys behind him to pit and end up with a better position because of the undercut. And in saying that, Christian comes down to the pits right now. Like Hernandez has stayed on track, but we're going to keep an eye on Christian Budd here, see how he gets into his pit box. Very nice entry into his box indeed. Now we're going to go and have a look at the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez, our new leader, who has just caught up to the back of the 78 of Brian Pizzicami. And the caution has come out. Absolutely diabolical timing there for Christian Budd. Let's see if we can see what's happened here. Get a 98 of Jerry Glenn. Oh, and there's a 20 of Derek Myers involved. Derek stuck on the outside. Jerry on the inside. Jerry affects the overtake. Slides up a little bit, but not too much. Derek coming in the crossover. Very aggressively onto the apron. And gives him a tap. Well, that one does not look good for Derek Myers at all. Sends 98 of Jerry Glenn around. Derek goes up into the wall himself. Jerry holding on to the brakes. That would have been what brought out the caution. Good job by Jerry. Minimize the damage to his car. Now let's go find the car here. On track. Currently in a lead lap position. I think he's going to go for a wave around here. Get his lap back. But he's not going to be in the lead of the race. Got a few cars up ahead of him that are actually getting wave arounds here. Lead lap drivers that are coming in pits. This being such a short track, it's hard to get into the pit lane, get a full service of tyres and fuel before the pace car comes back around. Especially if you're towards the back of the queue. What some drivers will do is they'll come in and get just right sides on the first stop, and then they'll come in a lap later and get left sides and fuel. Just to make sure they're completely topped up. If anyone's wondering, that's why the refueling area is on the left side of the car. The left side tyres are the last to be done. Want to get as much fuel into the car as possible, and with the car being on the angle towards the right of the car, being closer to the ground, get more fuel into that fuel tank. As we are now on lap 69 of 120, got 51 and a half laps to go. And we have the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez in the lead. So what was going to be looking like a very easy victory there for the 50 of Christian Budd has just turned into a massive uphill battle. But at the moment we've got Hernandez, McKee, Sturgill, Champo, Burgess, Chambliss, Myers, Harmon, Ward and Sanchez as your top 10. Vitello in 11th, Bennett, Pizzicami, Massier, Schleiss, Rice, Ionescu, Treywick, Floyd and Christian Budd as your top 20, and the only cars left on the lead lap, everyone else behind them is a lap down or more. 3 cars DNF. We are underway again. Jonathan Hernandez with a very early jump, getting the advantage. The 94 of Daryl McKee sitting there in P2. We had a promise in chat that if Daryl McKee wins, someone in chat's going to be taking him home. I'm not sure whether that was a sex joke or because Daryl's going to be blind, rotten, drunken celebration joke. But Daryl putting all kinds of pressure on our leader, Jonathan Hernandez, right now. McKee just looking for whatever advantage that he can try and find. Like for the moment, these guys are starting to single file out a little bit now. These guys at the front, at the very least, not trying to make any desperate moves just yet. Darryl has backed off in the back of Hernandez a little bit here. Virgil showing some pace. Have to wait and see how this unfolds. Let's go and check in on the 50 of Christian Budd. He's worked his way up to 14th already. He restarted this race in 20th. Now he's about to work on the 6 of Evan Rice, who's going underneath the lap down car of Frank Isaacson. So we're just going to sit here and possibly watch Christian Budd for a little bit as we see some movement happening up towards the front, as Ionshu is a little bit squirrely there behind Frank. Now Christian pulling up to the inside of Evan Rice, trying to get the move made. And it looks like he's just about got it here as they come off turn 2. Evan Rice trying to battle back on the outside though. Not going to work out for him as Christian Budd takes away 13th position. Christian Budd's got another couple of lap cars just in front of him before he gets towards Brandon Bennett. Ashton Schleiss is actually one of those lap cars. So the previous second place driver currently a lap down in 21st. As Keith Calhoun in the 14 is the next roadblock in Christian Budd's charge back to the front. Speaking of the front, let's go and check in on how these guys are doing. Jonathan Hernandez still leading the way. It looks like he's driving it pretty hard here, trying to defend from Daryl McKee. He looking actually very comfortable in the car right now. Not pushing it too hard. So let's actually take a look out of the nose of the 90 car here at these guys battling away in front of him. You can hear the tires of Sturgill here protesting their treatment on the track. And we're going to reopen the radio waves here actually as well. I'm hearing news that Justin Botello is actually up into P6 now as well. I'm going to go back out to the outside cameras and have a look at where our 69's at. There he is, just in front of Chris Champeau, in 5th now actually. Chris Champeau and Brian Chambliss just behind him. Justin Botello charging towards the front as well after going a lap down earlier in the race. Go check in on the 50 of Christian Budd. He's working on the inside of Brandon Bennett. That's for 12th. Ashton Schleiss is actually still in front of Christian as well, carving his own way through the field. Trying to get his lap back. Ashton Schleiss is actually not even the first car lap down. That honour belongs to the 98 of Jerry Glenn at the moment. Christian looks like he's still got the pace to try and car through the field here. We're going to go back up to our leaders. We've had a change of position. Sturgill has gotten around McKee. Sturgill now up into P2. McKee down to third. These drivers probably won't be too far away from entering back into lap traffic. We're going to go back to Jonathan Hernandez here and focus on him a little bit. First car on his list is going to be the 81 of Corey Williamson, then the 5 of Mark Pentigup. These two drivers, who have been very slowly improving, are having the best of luck here at the moment. Hernandez absolutely commanding this lead now, almost got it out to 1 second. So check back in on Christian Budd, who I do believe has just cracked the top 10 after he got around the 4 of Jaron Sanchez, who was in 10th. Now he's going to start working on the back of Matt Burgess here in the 12 car. And Ashton Schleiss has caught up to the 98 of Jerry Glenn. Those two will be battling it out for the lucky dog position here in a second. Christian looked like he got a little bit taily that time coming off turn 4, but it worked for him as he sends it down into turn 1 underneath Matt Burgess. Takes away that 9th position with a paralysing burst of speed. I apologise to everyone who knows where that's from. And if you don't know where that's from, you're lucky. Christian Budd currently in P9 now. Let's have a look at where Justin Botello is at the moment. He's still in P5, but he's on the tail of Derek Myers now. No, Derek Myers is not afraid to get a little bit nasty if he needs to. Just have to wait and see what kind of Derek Myers we're going to have here for this little battle with Justin Botello. Are we going to have the very aggressive Derek Myers, or are we going to have the passive Derek Myers? We won't know until we find out. Jumping back with our leaders really quickly here. Jonathan Hernandez still pulling away, although he's not pulling away all that much from Sturgill. Sturgill has been going a little bit faster here the past couple of laps. And we have a safety car on the track.
My bad there, Dix. I thought you kind of came.
Go and have a look at what occurred here. Oh, I see the ones in it. That's Brandon Bennett. Back it up and see what we can see. Going into turn 3 here. Very late dive there by Brandon Bennett. And he's just caught the left rear of the 6. That's Evan Rice. and just escorts him into the wall. Oh, unfortunately, Bennett not holding the brake. Coming down and collecting the 44 car as well. That's Clayton Ward. But there was any other cars involved in this incident though. Damage does not look too bad on the 6 car either. And now everyone's coming for another pit stop here. We're on lap 99, which means there's 22 to go. See who's going to come out of the pits first. See some of these guys at the front in their pit boxes. First one out was Jonathan Hernandez and Christian Budd up into P2. Christian took 2 tyres on that stop, and he's worked his way back up into the almost lead of this race. Michael Sturgill came out in 3rd. We'll just wait for everyone to do their pit stop cycles here before we start going through the field, because Ashton Schleiss looks like he's pitting again as well. But he's pitting for the first time as a lucky dog. He can't pit with the leaders, he has to pit with the lap cars. That was a bold move here for Christian Budd, going for 2 tyres. We do know that strategy can pay out though. Tyres are fairly good around this track. They go for about 60 odd laps. At least the right sides do. The left sides can go for a little bit longer because obviously they don't work as hard as the right side tyres around here. Could be getting the 1 to go this time. We'll have 19 laps left when we get the green flag. So your order is Hernandez, Budd, Sturgill, McKee, Myers, Champeau, Chambers, Harmon, Sanchez, and Burgess as your top 10. With Ward, Treywick, Floyd, Ionescu, Massia, Bennett, Botello, Pizzakemi, and Schleiss, Jerry Glenn, and Mark Henticuff rounding out your 21 cars on the lead lap. Frank Isaacson 1 lap down, Keith Calhoun 1 lap down, Corey Williamson 4 laps down, and Evan Rice is OUT out. Jonathan Hernandez with the big early jump there coming out of turn 4. Christian Budd holding on to P2 at the moment though. Let's see if the 2 tyre strategy will work out for Christian Budd as he's going to try and get back into the lead. Michael Sturgill getting a little bit loose coming off of turn 2. Looks like it was pushed a little bit there by Derek Myers though. They'll have to keep an eye on that as it develops. Derek Myers, as we know, is a very aggressive driver. Not one to let bygones be bygones either, as we have a lot of different positions being won and lost there. Matt Burgess actually lost 5 on that restart. And Zach Floyd gained 4. Wow. It's all happening here, folks. As Hernandez still leads the way. Christian Budd still right there on his tail. Christian Budd not one to have to try and battle his way back to the front, but he'll get there through strategy if need be. We have 15 laps to go now. Effectively speaking, this is going to be Jonathan Hernandez's race to lose. As Christian Budd only has the 2 fresh tyres, where Hernandez has the 4. Christian Budd, the only driver to actually take 2 tyres. For the moment, looks like these guys at the front holding station. We'll have to see if it stays that way when they start getting into lap traffic. Frank Isaacson's just a little bit up the road here. The 21 cars on the lead lap, 2 cars 1 lap down, 1 car 4 laps down, and we have 4 did not finishers and 1 did not start from the race. Hernandez now looks like he's starting to pull away a little bit from Christian Budd in the 50 car. Now we have 10.25 laps to go, 10 when they hit the line. Is there anything Christian Budd can do to try and shake Jonathan Hernandez from the lead? Not looking very likely at the moment. Christian Budd's just slowly dropping away here, ever so slightly. Sturgill's still sitting in 3rd, but he's got Brian Chambliss coming up behind him in P4. It also means that Derek Myers has been dropped back to P5. It might turn into P6 as he's got Thomas Harmon on his tail. Thomas Harmon is an absolute gun when it comes to tracks like this. Hernandez still leading the way as we get 5 to go this time by. He's closing in on the 24, Frank Isaacson. Christian Budd, 2nd behind the leader right now. 2 tyres worked out in the short run, but in the longer run, it's not going to help him at all. In fact, he's going to be under pressure from Sturgill here for the 2nd place. Christian's going a little bit defensive there, coming out turn 4, taking a lower line on exit, not allowing Sturgill to gain any advantage there. As we're 2 by 2 with some lap cars in front of Christian Budd. That was not an ideal situation at all for these drivers. Not sure what happened to Mark to put him back that far. But now they're both rolling roadblocks. 90 of Sturgill right on the tail of Christian Budd as we get the white flag last lap, last chance to win it or wear it for Jonathan Hernandez. We're going to keep an eye on this battle just for the very brief moment here. Sturgill trying to look for any way he can around Christian Budd. Getting a little bit loose. We've got a crash in the background. That is Chris Champeau, sorry. The 88 Jonathan Hernandez coming out of turn 4 to take the win. Christian Budd holding on to second. Michael Sturgill in third. Let's go back and have a look at what happened there to Chris Champeau. Going into turn 1 on the final lap, the 28 car of Zach Floyd on his inside. They're running very close, but there might be a little bit of netcode in that. And that has sent Chris Champeau around. A little bit of a secondary netcode contact there as well. And unfortunately, into the NASCAR Cup Series signage goes Chris Champeau. That was very unfortunate indeed. But today's winner, Jonathan Hernandez, as he does some burnouts in celebration. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, guys. When we come back, we will have driver interviews. So make sure you stay tuned. Alrighty, it's time to start talking to our drivers, and we are kicking things off with style. First and foremost, our Hard Charger Award and third place getter, We're, of course, talking to the 90 car of Michael Sturgill. Michael, absolutely incredible race by yourself, man. Going from 14th to 3rd. Talk us through a little bit of the strategy and how the race was for you.
Uh, First off, thank you. The race, I was kind of worried about it, honestly. In practice, I could not turn. I know Christian was doing like point .4s, and a lot of guys were doing point .5s, and I think my best was like a high point .6. So I was worried I didn't have the speed, and then I qualified, 14th, so like right in the middle. So basically just try to stay consistent, stay smooth, and avoid any wrecks, which there really weren't any wrecks anyway that I had to avoid, so that worked out well. And then the one caution that caught Christian a lap down really helped me out because I was able to restart third after that, and was able to stay up front the rest of the race.
All right, now let's talk about the final stages of that race. It looked like he was starting to catch Christian there a little bit. He was starting to overdrive it as he was trying to catch up to Jonathan. Did you maybe snip a little bit of an opportunity there in those last couple of laps?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna possibly be able to get him on the very last lap. We got into one set of corners and I was all over him, and I had to check way up so I didn't turn him, and that kind of killed any chance I had of getting past him. But I do think had I had another lap or two, I would have gotten him. I don't think I was going to be able to catch Hernandez though. He had kind of set sail.
Indeed, he did, and what a way that he was celebrating his birthday here with a glorious win. But man,
Yeah.
while we got you up here, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
You guys already know my team, the Billies, the one that does my paints and the one that spots for me. They always help me out in these races, help me with making decisions and everything just in general. Shout out to them. Shout out to you for broadcasting it, and shout out to the admins of the league for putting this on.
All right, you heard it here first, boys. Two Billies are better than one, just like 8 tires are better than four. Thank you very much, Michael. Congratulations on the hard charger and 3rd place. Look forward to seeing you again next week at Talladega.
Thank you. Hopefully, I'll be talking to you there.
Hopefully, indeed, man. All right, guys. That was the 90 car of Michael Sturgill, today's 3rd place getter and hard charger award winner in what was a very interesting race. Coming up next, a guy that I really want to talk to today. We're talking to the 50 car of Christian Budd. Christian, what a fight back. That was absolutely amazing. Restarting from 20th after getting the wave around. How was the race for you?
Just just another disappointment, I'm afraid. It's kind of been proven this year that the fastest car is not always winning the race, and that's definitely what happened tonight. Not to take anything away from Jonathan, he does a great job, great race car driver, but really thought that was the one tonight.
All right, now let's talk a little bit about your strategy in that final pit stop with 20 to go. You come in, took two, jumped from, what was it, about 10th place up to P2. Did you think that you maybe had something there in the earlier laps for Jonathan, or was it just to try to limitate all the damage that you could get?
No, I mean, I had practiced with 2 tires in a sort of a similar situation, time, number of laps wise and everything, and you were still giving up quite a bit. And once I got rolling, I just did not have the forward drive to make any run at him. I could kind of roll up to him in the center of the corner, but I couldn't translate that to any kind of run on exit. So the only chance I would have had would have been for him to make some kind of huge mistake and then probably bottle up the guys behind me. But it was really just a play, just trying to get the best finish I could at that point, because I didn't really feel that with the amount of laps left, if getting 4 tires and coming out 9th or 10th, that I would have been able to, drive up there and challenge him either way.
Now let's talk about the final couple of laps. You had 60 odd lap tires by the end on the left sides by the end of it, and you're coming under pressure from Michael Sturgill. What was that little bit of a battle you guys were having like for the last couple of laps?
Yeah, I mean, he put the bumper to me, I think, down there in 1 and 2 a little bit, but fortunately, it just didn't really upset the car. He was definitely faster at that point. Another lap or two would have been probably not able to hold him off. Um, but I was able to get enough of a gap. I was really worried about the restart, just being able to get down. And fortunately, I was able to get a good restart and get a little gap between them. And the two tires, the first 10 laps or so, I could run decently hard, but they really gave up after that. And I knew I was going to be in trouble, especially if we had a caution. So just kind of needed it to go green and just try and hold on the best I could.
All right, man. Now looking forward, we got Talladega next week. What is the feeling like for you heading into the biggest track on the schedule after coming out of one of the smallest on the schedule?
Not something I really look forward to. I really prefer the kind of racing that we've had the last couple of weeks, and the restrictor plate or whatever they want to call it now. Tracks are a little bit of a different animal, a lot less in your control. So Daytona went well as far as leading laps and everything, but unfortunately we got wrecked at the end, and it's going to be probably a similar kind of race at Talladega where it's going to be who survives it and can be there at the end to try and make a run for it. So, um, my plan is to try and stay up front and lead as many laps as I can, just like always, and hopefully we'll end up in victory lane if everything goes right.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on P2. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, just our sponsor this week. The autism awareness is important, and I am forgetting which courier is sponsoring that, but it's a good cause, and appreciate him supporting the league and everything that way. For all the commentary every week, these races are really fun to watch. So really appreciate that, and then all the guys who showed up and raced hard tonight.
All right, awesome, man. Well, thank you very much. Again, congratulations on P2, and we look forward to seeing you again next week at Talladega.
Thanks.
All right, guys, so that was the 50 car of Christian Budd, today's second place getter in what was a bitterly disappointing race for him, just missing out on the win, but he did everything he could do to mitigate the damage there. Coming up next, we probably have the most excited man in all of America right now. We are, of course, talking to our winner, the birthday boy, Jonathan Hernandez. Jonathan, what's up?
I'm have a lot of adrenaline going on right now.
I could imagine. That is probably one of the biggest wins you will get this year. I can guarantee it. Over Christian Budd, who was so dominant so early. What was the race like for you as a whole, man, being there or thereabouts towards the front for the entire race?
It was mainly, just like you said, being up front, staying away from trouble. Luckily, I did all that. I kept pace. Of course, Christian and Ashton and Michael were faster than me. So was Daryl. For Daryl, for his first race with us over here, he was, he put up a good fight. But I think, the turning point with the caution coming out during pit stops, it just changed everything. Luckily, we stayed out. It was an audible call to stay out for a few more laps. I was playing the pit lap after Christian, but of course the audible, and it somehow worked out in our favor. So, overall the race was good. We kept the car clean. Luckily no run-ins with anybody. There was, few close calls throughout the race, but luckily, we brought it home in one piece. And like you said, it's probably one of the biggest wins, mainly because, it's my birthday.
Well, that's exactly right, man. And you should be excited. It was definitely a great race to watch, especially in those closing laps. Strategy from Christian Budd there taking two. Did you get a little bit worried because he's fast on the older tires and he only had the older left side tires? So were you worried that maybe he was going to look at getting a little bit of run with about first 10 to go of that 20-lap run?
Yeah, of course I was worried, and I figured someone was gonna make a two-tire call, and you know, Christian, he had to do what he had to do. I talked to him about it. He said he was just hoping he could beat me out the pits, but I just think here with the tire compound here, 4 tires is better than 2, and it almost worked out for him, but the car was able to hook up towards the end, and we pulled away just barely towards the end, and I think if there was another caution, he probably would have had me, but that's why I timed the restarts the way I do. Luckily, I learned earlier in the week how to properly do restarts here if you want to stay away from the field.
All right, man. And we're looking forward towards next week. It's Talladega week. What's the feeling like for you heading into the biggest track on the schedule?
It'll be nerve wracking for sure. With the package we have there and the speeds that are being reached there, it's going to be one of those races. You have to find friends, especially with the tandem going on, and you'll see more tandem here there at Dega than we did at Daytona. So finding the right person you want to work with throughout the race, it'll be a key strategy, and of course staying away from the big one. I believe, that past few times we went into Dega, it was, a hit or miss on if we have a clean race or we have one that wipes out the field. So I'm pumped for it. I'm going to try and make it back to back, but it's anybody's game there. And, throughout the week, I'll see who I can work with heading up to that race. And, we should have a good car ready by then.
All right, awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to here?
Well, first, I thank you for broadcasting, and then Jaron and everyone else putting up the league. I want to thank Frank for sponsoring the race. Of course, I believe it's autism awareness, and that's very important. Even through the crisis that we're going through right now, I'm glad that everyone could come along and race, have a good time. I want to thank my family. Without them, especially my mother, I wouldn't be here. And of course, I want to thank my new team now. First time I could say that. My new team, Underground Racing. I'm good friends with over there, and luckily Boyd Hogan gave me a shot. To race for them, and I'm glad we came out on top. Repeat it next week, and go on from there.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on your win. Happy birthday again. And we look forward to seeing you again next week at Talladega.
Thank you, Corey.
Alrighty, guys. So that is the end of our interviews for today. Thank you all for coming out. It has been an absolutely awesome broadcast, capped off with the win by the birthday boy of all people. And he's going to be absolutely emphatic. He'll probably be drinking long into the hours of the morning. But until next week, guys, when we go to Talladega, on behalf of Jaron Sanchez, the league owner and operator, all the admins, drivers, teams, and crew, I've been your host, Corey Steinhauser, and we look forward to seeing you guys again next week when we go to Talladega.